Hey guys, we're here today to do a quick but deep dive into macros because we know that's a burning question for many of you during this time of your journey with Faster Way.
So macros, what are they and why are we tracking them? They're carbs, protein, fats, and then fiber is our extra friend that we want lots and lots and lots of. But macros are what is going to change our body composition. So this, more than counting calories, we are following macros. We're getting a certain amount of carbs, of protein, of fat to change the way your body looks and feels, to make you have more energy, help your hormones, help get your metabolism going and boosting and burning fat, to change you from a fat burner or a sugar burner to a fat burner. So carbs are our number one source of energy. That's one of the first macros. If you're intimidated by how many carbs you're trying to get, it's giving you energy, and you want to eat good, complex carbs that are going to process well in your body. It's not simple carbs like chips and things like that. So we want to prioritize carbs. And then we have protein. That is our building block, the place where our muscles are going to build from. If we're not hitting our protein and your goal is to gain muscle, guess what? You're likely not going to be gaining muscle because you're not getting enough of the building block for the muscle. And then fats, healthy fats are what's going to give you energy and keep you full. And, we've learned about carb cycling and how we up our fats on low carb days so that when the first energy source, carbs, is lower, we can have more fat to boost our energy and keep us full on those lower carb days. So those are the things we're prioritizing with macros, with macronutrients, and why we're doing it, because it's so important for just changing our body composition, changing the way our body feels, changing the way our metabolism runs. So we want to answer a few questions.
Well, also, I just want to say, if you're someone that you've come in and you have struggled with your weight and you've struggled with food, emotional eating, dieting, any of that, I think macro tracking is a great way to keep us accountable. And a lot of times it is scary, like she said, to get all those carbs. But the more you learn about macros and how they help your body, but also you can eat this for a carb versus we just think carbs are like bread all the time. And if you, so if you're someone and you've struggled like that, I think that macro tracking really helps you to stay on track and be committed.
And it also gives you a lot of food freedom. We've heard that from tons of clients. The freedom they get with Faster Way, it's so much. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle, and you learn how to fit things in your macros. So let's talk about fitting things in your macros when you're traveling. That's a big part, but that's also a big place we have to learn to do it so that we don't feel like we've fallen off the wagon, but we know how to accommodate our macros as we travel. Sometimes there's traveling and we're like, just enjoy your life. Go to the beach with your family and enjoy your life. But there's things that you'll naturally prioritize because you've been doing this lifestyle. Or you just have to know that a weekend off track or off your normal rhythm isn't going to ruin what you've been working on for the past 4 or 5 or 10 weeks.
Now, if every weekend is off track and off rhythm, you have to recognize how many days are in your weekend compared to your week, and you're not going to see the results of every weekend's that way. But one weekend's not. And so many times we get caught up in thinking it is, but it's not. So,
So we want to have memories over macros, but not every weekend. And don't reward yourself every time something good happens with food. Big thing. But okay, so macros while tracking. Here's what I do while traveling. Here's what I do. I am always thinking about the rhythm of the Faster Way food cycle. So Mondays and Tuesdays are low carb days. So if I'm traveling on those days, I'm thinking, what kind of things can I grab that are higher fat? Where can I eat some guacamole today? Because I love some guacamole on high fat days. And I know there are some things that I have in place that I know these are the places that are my go-tos if I'm traveling, or I just know how to look at the menu and think, well, this is higher fat, so I can enjoy it today and keep off the carbs. And then if it's the other days, there's really a lot of freedom in a regular macro day while you're traveling. You just learn to adjust it. You leave off the simple carbs. Don't grab the chips or the random things at the gas station, but go get you a good meal. Enjoy some good carbs with it. If you're traveling, leave off the bun on the burger and have a little bit of french fries. The potato is going to be better than the bread. You'll still get tons of protein. And that's another thing. Just prioritize protein and drinking your water, and just be kind to yourself if you're not hitting your macros while you're traveling.
That's what I was going to say. When I'm traveling, the 2 things, or I guess 3 things I focus on is making sure that I take my electrolytes with me, okay? And then making sure that I am packing beef sticks. I don't eat a lot of packaged snacks, but if I am traveling, beef sticks are going in my bag because I'm prioritizing protein. The other thing, once I get somewhere, I tend to try and go to the grocery store and I buy peppers because I enjoy eating peppers. And so if I can throw a vegetable in my mouth before I eat whatever, that really helps. So I try and make sure I have my electrolytes. I pick up peppers, and I always prioritize protein.
So grab a raw veggie that you love and an on-the-go protein that you can eat, and that will really help with your fiber and your protein.
Yeah.
So
another question we get a lot of that we thought might be helpful to you is how on earth do I track like meals like crock pots, crock pot meals, soups, stews, stuff like that. So here's the thing. You're not going to get it perfect when you do these, but that's okay. We're going to share with you a couple of tips that we do. One of the things that I like to use right there here inside your app is Faith AI, and I like to go in, and a lot of times I'll just say, hey, I have these ingredients. I want to make a soup or a stew. I did it last night. I have carrots, I have celery, I have potatoes, and I have beef, and I'm going to make homemade stew. Also, I'm going to throw in some tomatoes and tomato sauce. So I asked it to tell me how much to put in to make a good meal because I just had random veggies. And then after it did that and gave me the recipe, I came back and said, okay, great. Can you give me the macros? And it gave me all the macros. And then I took it one step further and said, can I get the macros for 1 cup? That was so helpful. Mm-hmm. Now, again, it's not going to be perfect, but it was better than me just not tracking it. And it's pretty close to perfect, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So then you're going to go into your app and you're going to do a quick add and add that recipe. And when I do it, I put beef stew, 1 cup. That way, if I have 2 cups, I just put 2 servings. Do a quick add with the macros that Faith AI gave you, and then it's there for you to use anytime.
Yeah, and then you can just go back. Like, you'll have meals that you cycle through, so you can just go add it again. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and then also, don't forget, in the app, there is photo tracking. So you can take a meal. Sometimes I like to, like if it's a big salad, I like to kind of place my stuff on there and take a picture with the photo tracking, and it is pretty accurate. Like she said, you're not going to get it perfect, but it's super helpful. It will cut down on your time tracking, and it still gives you something that's kind of close to what you're eating. So another question we get a lot is if you don't have a food scale, which a food scale is a great thing to grab for your kitchen.
I think you can get them for less than $10 off Amazon.
Yeah, so super cheap thing to add, but you can't always use it. You don't always have time, or sometimes I'm like, if I would normally measure this, but people are here, I'm not going to measure, things like that. It just feels like a lot of work. When you're not doing that, you can always change on the app the portions from being measured in ounces to being measured in cups. Then you can use a cup, or the more you do it, you're going to know that's about 1/4 a cup of meat I'm putting on this. So you know how to track it. The more you do it, the more you kind of get it. And you have a general amount of like, okay, I've been weighing 4 ounces of chicken for 6 weeks now. I know generally how much it is.
And I think when that was said to us in the beginning, I was like, I'll never know. But now, like, all this time in, like, I do know. Like, and really, I try and just fill a good 30% of my plate with protein.
Right.
And so that helps. So.
And then you can always use the Faith AI. How'd you say you did that? Oh, you didn't. Okay. Never mind on that part. But anyways, those are some questions we get about macro tracking and just some of the complications or understanding it. And don't forget, fiber is like added onto our macros. You're never
gonna get too much
fiber. So people are like, oh no, I went over on fiber. No, go over. Because 25 is just a baseline. We really want to be, as women, getting 35 or more grams of fiber a day. And if you're eating whole, full meals and you're packing in the protein and the healthy fats and the veggies, you're going to be hitting that fiber. So do it. If you have any more questions, let us know.
Yeah, if you watch this and you have questions, drop them and we'll reply.